Intercepted by Dennis Wallace. And this one, my friends, is history.
ESPN Plus, presented by Under Armour. Marvel Studios presents.
You're a Hawkeye.
Who the hell are you?
This holiday season, the best gifts come with a bow.
Kate is helping you with an Avengers-level threat?
He's my partner. It's kind of strange.
On November 24th.
I'll be home for Christmas. I promise.
Comes this 6-part Marvel.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. After missing the last 3 games with an ankle injury, Giants running back Saquon Barkley expected to return against the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football, barring any setback with the ankle. Main broadcast, 8 Eastern ESPN TV with the Manningcast on ESPN2. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting initial tests on Bears rookie quarterback Justin Fields didn't reveal any broken ribs. He'll undergo further tests today. His status Thursday against the Lions is uncertain. The NBA may be doling out suspensions after an incident in yesterday's Lakers-Pistons game. LA's LeBron James struck Detroit's Isaiah Stewart in the face while jostling for rebounding position. James assessed a flagrant foul and was ejected. Stewart 2 tees was tossed. Lakers guard Russell Westbrook called for a technical foul. Baseball, Red Sox exercised the 2023 and 2024 club option on the contract of manager Alex Cora.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect a partly cloudy start. Will gradually become sunny by the afternoon. It looks like high temperature is going to be topping out in the upper 40s to lower 50s. We could also see gusty winds as high as 25. For your Monday night, mostly clear sky, low temperatures falling into the upper 20s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Football season is here.
Javier Arias is going to take it to the house. 80 yards. Touchdown, Alabama.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Who wants coffee? Anybody wants coffee?
Can you get me off the hook? Roll type say.
The tire's tired.
He ain't good looking, but he sure ain't shy. He's a northern bred, southern fed, slick talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the junkyard dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Titan Tiger Land. Nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Testosterone high today.
Yeah, Tom's a man, he's got the plan, he's really got it made. What a wife he's got, she's smoking hot, check out the junkyard babe. When everything is said and done, no one can beat his show. He's a high-tech redneck, Tony Soprano. If you love sports without the fluff, he's got the master plan. Cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham, yeah.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Overreaction Monday in the Doghouse. I am your host, Thom Abraham. Here we are. Here we are. It's Thanksgiving week. Just like that. Rivalry week in college football. He said rivalry week in college football. He said rivalry week. Hey, welcome, everyone. It's Overreaction Monday here in the Thom Abraham Show. Can't get my mouth working right. I have this toothache over here on the right side, and it's affecting my ability to eat, which is a big deal with me because I just eat all the time. I eat too much. But it's apparently affecting my ability to talk as well. Rivalry week in college football. Turkey Day, NFL football as well. Yeah, because who can look away from Bears-Lions on Turkey Day at 11 o'clock? What screams a turkey game more than Bears and Lions, said no one. Raiders, Cowboys would be good. Bills and Saints, that's a good game. But my God, Bears and Lions, holy mackerel. In any event, It's a short week for us. So we're going to get in Beat the Big Dog tomorrow. We're going to have our Turkey Fecta on Wednesday, and then we're gonzo for the rest of the week. At least for shows. We have a lot of games and all kinds of stuff like that. Phone lines are open. Feel free to jump in 256-576-4977. It's 256-576-4977. You can also text the show at 732-9TA-SHOW, 732-982-7469, which is a great way to communicate with us. My personal Twitter feed is at Thom Abraham Show. The station feed is 97.7 ESPN. We are also on Twitch and Facebook at 97.7 ESPN, where you can watch the show and see if I begin to drool from my sore tooth here. I didn't think it was going to bother me like this talking, and I don't know why I got it. It's just all of a sudden, lower jaw, back, about halfway. I may start drooling during the show. Who knows? Watch on YouTube at 97.7 ESPN The Zone. You know, YouTube's not getting as much play anymore. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I mean, videos that are posted on YouTube now don't seem to get nearly as much love as the Facebook stuff for some reason. I don't know. My good buddy Mike Iaconelli, he was putting up a live YouTube video from his shop where he usually gets, thousands of viewers when he does like a 1 hour live from the shop with Mike Iaconelli. And he had it on YouTube. And he started on YouTube and he went for 10 minutes and there were 0 viewers. What's going on with YouTube? There were 0 viewers. So he restarted it on Facebook. He went live on Facebook and had, thousands. But YouTube was reporting 0. I don't understand it. I don't know. Anyway, get the app, and then you can find links to Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4, also at our website at 977ESPN.com. There's a link to all of this stuff. But you want Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4 as well, because you just don't know. You don't know. You got to have these alternate streaming channels for all the great programming. Madison Academy has moved on to the state semifinals with a win over Good Hope. Now they're going to face Aniata. I got to say that all week. Don't call me Oniata. Aniata. Now they're going to face Aniata Friday night at home for a trip to the state championship. We'll have that game on air and on our primary stream. Now, Alabama basketball will be playing Iona. It's not Iona. It's Iona. Not Aniana. It's not Oniana. Oniana is a town in upstate New York where I'm from. I swear to you. It is so confusing for me because Oniana is a town. It's not Aniana up there. It's Oniana. Like Iona. Anyway, Alabama basketball is playing Iona Thursday afternoon, Turkey Day, at 3 in that ESPN tournament thingy in Orlando. And then they'll play sometime Friday as well on one of our channels. I think it'll be during the day. I think it'll be sometime in the afternoon. Grizz has this quizzical look on his face. But they'll play sometime on Friday in the second game of that tournament. My guess is it's going to be in the afternoon. But I'm not 100% sure. So you have to have all of our channels to get all of this stuff. The Havoc finally lost a game. And then they have the teddy bear toss on Thanksgiving night at the Hockey Barn. Moulton will have that one for you. And then the Iron Bowl promotion is on Friday night, where they'll wear Alabama jerseys in the first period and Auburn jerseys in the second period. And then the fans will decide what jerseys they wear in the third period. I'll be on that game. Zone 4 is your home for the Havoc, as well as on air when we are clear for them. So, if we're clear and our other obligation, then they'll end up on the over-the-air signal. But in the meantime, they're always on Zone 4 as well. In Beat the Big Dog, I went 4-2. I should have gone 5-1 if it wasn't for that furious Pittsburgh rally last night. The Chargers were up 17 points in the fourth quarter. Do you know how many times the Steelers have come back from a 17-point deficit to win a game? 0. That would be 0. In their 90-year history, 0. Well, it's still 0. But they came back, took the lead. The Chargers won, but did not cover the 6.5. The Rude Dog had them. It came down to that game. I had the Chargers, and I was right, but I was wrong. But if loving you is right, I don't want to be wrong. The Rude Dog had him. So he wins with an excellent 5-1 mark. Grizz, mark Rude Dog down for Champies. I know we got to get some more now. Champies and tickets to 4 tickets to an upcoming Havoc game for the Rude Dog. I am now 7-5 against you guys. You guys are you're closing the gap a little bit. I'm 7-5 against you guys. Now, in the overall picks competition, it's not close. I'm 42-30 against the spread, which is a solid mark. It's about 58, 59%. That's a good mark, 42-30 against the spread. You guys are 34-38. So you are fighting your way back to 500. By the way, I am finishing up details on the Music City Bowl tickets as well. So the 5 of you who have beaten me may get a little something extra for Christmas. It's taken a while to get this deal done. I mean, I keep getting, hey, we're in. But I need the signatures to really be in. So I think I'm going to have Music City Bowl tickets for you as well. And in the Friday trifecta, only one guy, and get this, it was Brandon. The guy we spent, half the day with on Saturday. One guy, we had tons of picks. One guy, Brandon, was able to even hit the 3 college picks. He was the only guy that could hit the 3 college games. Didn't even hit the 4th game for the Chow. He hit the 3 college games. Nobody else could do it. Michigan State tripped up a bunch of you. Bunch of you had Michigan State. Didn't listen to the big dog. I told you Ohio State was going to wreck them. Michigan State and then Alabama, the ones that didn't get tripped up by Michigan State got tripped up. I told you Arkansas would keep that game close. Never was in jeopardy. Never felt like the game was in jeopardy. But they kept it within that big 20.5 number. So congratulations for Brandon. He now gets on the big board. He is on the Grand Trifecta big board. And now, with rivalry games this week, we have our first multi-point week where each game will be worth 1 point. Listen to me. Follow me. This is coming up on Wednesday. Grizz, if Grizz pays attention, if he understands it, you'll all understand it. Grizz needs to know because he puts up the image. We will have 4 college rivalry games. Each one is worth 1 point. You get a point for each one of the 4 games. So if all you hit is the Iron Bowl, let's say, you'll get a point. If you hit 2 of the rivalry games, 2 points. 3 is 3 points. And if you hit all 4 rivalry games, you double up for 8 big points. The lead is 5 right now. So one person could get 8 points if you hit all 4 rivalry games against the spread. So you can't get 4 points, obviously, because if you hit all 4, you get 8. So it's a 1, 2, 3, or 8 point day. We will have the Iron Bowl, the Egg Bowl, the Game, and Bedlam. Those are going to be the 4 games. I'm telling you that right now. Of course, they'll be against the spread. Of course, they're going to be against the spread. At the top, coming up next, actually, Tom Luginbill of ESPN is back. He called that Utah win over Oregon. Of course, not like that, not 38-7. But he said, hey, I think Oregon's going to lose to Utah. They did. And so things are shook up once again, and really doesn't matter now. Doesn't matter what the committee ends up doing with Michigan or Ohio State, since that'll get settled this week. I mean, the committee could put Michigan at 4. Why not? The committee could put Michigan at 4. Doesn't matter. Michigan, Ohio State, that's a playoff game. That gets settled this week. One goes home. While Cincinnati has their colossal game against East Carolina because you can't be a playoff team unless you can go through East Carolina. I certainly can see Ohio State jumping Alabama into the 2-hole, which could actually hurt the Tide's slim chances of sliding into the playoffs as a 2-loss team if they were to lose to Georgia, now that the SEC championship game is set, Alabama and Georgia. Losing as the 3 is different than losing as the 2. If you're the 2, then you are, you're playing 1 and you're the 2 and you lose a close game, I think you get a different kind of consideration. If you're the 3 and you lose to the 1, then I think it might be a little bit different. Might be a little bit different. Cincinnati will be right there, obviously. Notre Dame is lurking. I think Notre Dame is sitting just lurking, but I think there's a glass ceiling for Notre Dame at 5. Then there's Oklahoma State with a chance to run the table, beginning with Bedlam. There's a lot to be decided in these last 2 weeks. Really, everything will be decided in these last 2 weeks. If you're an Alabama fan, you want Oklahoma probably to beat Oklahoma State. If Oklahoma State beats Oklahoma and then Baylor with 2, big ranked wins there and beating Baylor twice during the season, you might have to find a place for them in that thing. And, of course, the coaching carousel got moving even faster with Dan Mullen being blown out at Florida. Mullen issued a typically Dan Mullen snarky comment, thanking everyone and reminding them of all his accomplishments at Florida. Mark Long covers the Gators for the AP. He'll join us at the top of the hour with candidates and thoughts as to where this job ranks with the USC and LSU job. Really, where does it rank? Back there in a little glass booth, playing the Platters That Matter and the Stacks of Wax. And I think currently, or I believe he thoroughly enjoyed Saturday rolling as an honorary Big Dog son, Coach Chris.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? Detective. It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together on a spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Now, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. All right? It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
Grizz Grumpy says one guy hit the trifecta in 2 weeks. That's not fun. You should do a week where you just pick winners. No, I don't do just pick winners.
No.
Just any idiot could just pick winners. I mean, it's not my fault you guys can't hit water if you fell out of a freaking boat. Pick the game against the spread. That's the whole point of the trifecta, is we're looking for handicappers. We're not looking for somebody to just pick a winner.
Yeah, it was kind of that's where I think I went 4-2 this week. I lost on Michigan State and I lost on Dallas. So I really thought the Cowboys were going to play well, but that was pretty close to a pick 'em. So I just didn't expect the Chiefs defense to play so well like they did, and so it was a really good game to watch, to be honest with you, Sunday afternoon. And yes, it was a lot of fun at the game on Saturday, and it was fun to watch. Time. It was fun to watch Bryce Young break the record. And
with Scott Hunter in the house.
With him in the house.
I mean, he was the honorary captain of the game, and we were trying to figure out when it happened. Remember, It was 1969. I mean, that was a record that's like 50 years old.
It's because I feel like it's just like, surprisingly enough, as many as passing quarterbacks as Alabama has had, it's like they've still had a lot of running, quarterbacks over the years, and no one's been able to break it as much as talented they've had at the quarterback position in the last decade. But it's only second behind the great KJ Costello in SEC history when he ripped LSU last year. And that was his best game. That was literally half of his yards in 6 games.
For Costello?
Yeah, for Costello. Yeah. And then he threw 11 interceptions after that. So a guy that literally that got waived by the Chargers this year, a guy that's doing nothing now, is on top of the the passing yards in a game for in an SEC game, KJ Costello.
Well, and I thought we saw Bryce Young win the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
And then I saw that C.J. Stroud threw for 32 of 35 for 432 and 6 touchdowns against Michigan State, which is even better than Arkansas. You know what I mean? I mean, Arkansas is Arkansas. Michigan State, came into this thing ranked in the top 10. Not anymore.
Who do you think would be favored in that game if it was a bowl game, Michigan State, Arkansas?
That's a great question. They may match up.
You think it's a pick 'em?
I think Michigan State would be a small favorite, just a small favorite in that game. Arkansas doesn't suck. I mean, Alabama's defense was so annoying, to watch Alabama's defense. But, KJ Young, KJ Young, there you go. Bryce Young, he was 31 of 40 for 559 and 5 touchdowns in that game. Listen to this, okay? This is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay? Bryce Young has thrown the ball 368 times on the season and completed 264 for 71.7%. C.J. Stroud has thrown 346 passes and completed 246 of those. His completion percentage is 71.1%. Bryce Young has thrown for 3,584 yards. Stroud has thrown for 3,468 yards. They're less than 100 yards apart. Bryce Young has thrown 38 touchdown passes against 3 interceptions. Stroud has thrown 36 touchdown passes against 5 interceptions. So if you're a voter, you got to wait until after these last 2 games, right? I mean, you have to. You got to see what Bryce. I think whatever happens in the SEC and Big Ten championship games is going to determine the Heisman. If Bryce Young is able to, somehow beat Georgia, then and C.J. Stroud beats Wisconsin, then I think Bryce Young gets it. But if Bryce Young gets beat by Georgia and Stroud wins, I think it's going to come down to that. I think it's coming down to those 2 championship games. I don't even think it comes down to this week because I think Bryce Young is going to light up Auburn. And C.J. Stroud's going to probably play pretty good against Michigan. I think Young will have a better game against Auburn than Stroud will have against Michigan. But then I think it comes down to the conference championship games. I think that's the way it's going to go. All right, give me Wolverine Dan here for a minute. Wolverine Dan, welcome to the show. How are you?
In the middle of making a pumpkin pie cheesecake, my friend.
Oh, there you go. Pumpkin pie cheesecake. I like that.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot of cooking right now, trying to get it done here. I just tied up a dog. There's a lot of stuff right now where the guy is 62. I don't know. I was starting to wear out a little bit there, Tom. I might need to take some time off.
Well, I mean, this is the best Michigan team you've had in several years. I mean, here you are. I mean, this is going to be good, right? Don't you have a shot? Don't you think you got a shot?
Everybody's got a shot. I mean, look at this. I mean, the bottom line is we're in the game, and there is a chance. And Ohio State's playing they're playing crazy football now offensively. McNamara's going to have to control the game. I mean, if he keeps us on the field and keeps that offense, Ohio State's offense away, that's a shame. That's our shot right there. But he hasn't done that all year long, so I don't know. I mean, our defense is going to play great, but the problem is they're going to be winded if McNamara doesn't control the ball. That's the point. That's where it all rolls down to is McNamara has got to keep the ball in our hands and keep it away from Ohio State. Long, sustained drives, that's the way I see it. And if we lose this game, at least we're involved in the conversation of the playoffs, which hasn't been in years. And, consolation's the Rose Bowl. It's not such a bad thing, Tom.
It feels like this is a playoff game. You know what I mean? It feels like this is a playoff game. You win this game. Of course, you still would have to beat, Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game. But is the consolation the Rose Bowl? Because if whoever loses this game, don't you think that if Wisconsin wins the West and then loses in the Big Ten championship game, wouldn't Wisconsin go to the Rose Bowl? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that works.
Well, I don't know either, but we're going to find out. But here's my question to you: You know, being that you're a Bama fan and everything, it's a Bama station and everything.
Yeah.
So here's the question.
Yeah.
If Bama loses another game and they have 2 losses, do they still make the playoffs?
Which game did they lose?
Doesn't matter. 2 losses.
Well, I think it does. If they were to get tripped up by Auburn, which I don't think that could happen, but if, after seeing what I saw this past weekend, but if they were to lose to Auburn and then turn around and beat Georgia, I don't know how you would keep the SEC champion out if they beat Georgia and lost to Auburn. I don't think they would keep them out. I think they would take both Alabama and Auburn that way. Now, if they beat Auburn and lose a close game to Georgia, I don't think they should be in. But will they be in? It depends on what happens with everybody else. What if Wisconsin beats the winner of the Ohio State-Michigan game? Then what do you do? Wisconsin's not going. So now the Big Ten could be out. Then what do you do? What if Houston beats Cincinnati? Then what do you do? You know what I mean? Okay. So they could stumble their way into it. But if they beat Georgia and lost to Auburn and beat Georgia, geez, I think they would take them.
Oh, come on. Listen to me. You got Oklahoma State. I believe they both Oklahoma State is undefeated or has a loss.
Oklahoma State they've got the one loss. They lost to Iowa State. Okay. And so whoever loses that game is out. Okay. But then you got Oklahoma. Cincinnati ain't going to lose, all right? You're going to have two teams with one loss. You got Georgia with no losses. And then you got Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan. I mean, come on. You're really going to put a two-loss team in the playoffs? This is ridiculous. It's all Alabama, Crimson Tide, shade glasses. You know, we got to stop that. Well, I agree that they shouldn't, because if you lose, basically that's a playoff game because they lost that game to A&M. But what did I just say? If Oklahoma, whoever loses the Oklahoma State game has a second loss, right? So you don't know, are you going to take one of those teams, a one-loss team, if Alabama were to beat Georgia? I don't think they should go if they beat Auburn and lose to Georgia. But if they were to lose to Auburn and beat the number one team in the country, I think they would take them. I think they would take both of them. Depending on what happens with everybody else. But with Oregon losing, you're liable to have multiple two-loss teams. That's the problem. What if the Big Ten, what if the winner of the Michigan-Ohio State game gets knocked out? That's what we don't know,
I guess we'll cross that bridge till I come to it. But I don't have to worry about that with the Lions.
No.
Holy moly. It's gonna be a perfect, well, they ruined a perfect season with a tie, but I was hoping for an whatever.
They're gonna beat Chicago. They're gonna beat Chicago Thursday. You're gonna win Thursday.
I don't want to win.
Oh. Well, you're gonna.
We got to get a first round. I want number one pick. I want two first rounders, which we're gonna get, but I want the number one pick. Trade up to a Herschel Walker, get more players.
You'll still get the one pick. All right, I appreciate you. I got to get a break in here.
All right.
Good job, Ian. All right, let's get a break. Tom Luginbill is next. Thom Abraham Show, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
NBA, the Hawks at 8-9, hosting the Thunder at 6-10. Atlanta an 11-point favorite at home tonight. The over/under 212. Monday Night Football, the Giants at 3-6 on the road facing the Bucks at 6-3. New York getting 11 points in Tampa Bay, plus 425 on the money line. Buccaneers at minus 550. The over/under 50. An early look at who could be the top names in the 2022 NBA draft as college basketball season starts to heat up. Duke's Paolo Banchero, the odds-on favorite to be the number one pick at minus 105. Gonzaga freshman Chet Holmgren at plus 105, and Jaden Hardy of the NBA G League Ignite at plus 800, followed by Michigan freshman Caleb Houston plus 1,000.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We know it's lonely at the top, but we don't mind.
National championship number 18. 13-0. Absolute perfection.
Roll Tide. Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide head to Jordan-Hare Stadium for the 86th Iron Bowl. Our coverage begins at 11:30 on your home for Bama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
In 2 years, you can have a career that makes sense for you. Skill up and earn a living working with your hands, or work on the front line of computer information systems and cybersecurity. Get a degree that lets your healing heart take care of people. Help design and manufacture the most advanced cars, machinery, or even aerospace components. In just 2 years, great careers are within your reach at Drake State Community and Technical College. Visit drakestate.edu to apply.
Take your taste buds back in time with a trip to the all-new Bubby's Diner, offering a variety of mouth-watering food from delicious starters to 50-style diner food and meat-and-free meals featuring owner and Huntsville native Chris Bubby Belcher's family's homemade recipes. Open Monday through Saturday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at 8412 Whitesburg Drive in the former Gibson's Barbecue. Drive-in, drive-through, carry-out, or curbside pickup with delivery coming soon through Grub South. Bubby's Diner, home of the Donut Burger.
Valley Equipment Rental. Pretty self-explanatory name, no? Thom Abraham here. And look, Valley Equipment Rental is all over the Tennessee Valley. And they rent equipment. All kinds of equipment. And not just to the contractors out there, but to you, the general public as well. Need a skid steer or an excavator? Well, they've got over 40 units to make sure they've got one for you. From huge boom lifts to miscellaneous hand tools, it's at Valley Equipment Rental on the South Parkway. And soon, they'll have a second location to handle even more equipment. More on that to come.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, more of the Thom Abraham Show on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
And welcome back to this segment of the Thom Abraham Show. Is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford. They've been bringing us Tom Luginbill for years now. And, of course, at Woody Anderson Ford, the service department is second to none. It's really your only choice when you need to get that service done. We're getting into that season. It's almost wintertime. You're going to want to get some winter service done on your vehicle. You need to take it to Woody Anderson Ford. Woody Anderson of Madison, same deal over there on Hughes, just south of 72. Check out Woody Anderson Ford and Woody Anderson of Madison, and they bring us Tom Luginbill, who joins us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Lugs, welcome in. How are you?
I am good, man. How are you doing? Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Well, to you as well. Yeah, we get the short week this week with a lot of big college football coming up this weekend. It is always a great week, but the thing that always strikes me is what other 12 or 13 weeks of your life seem to go this fast? I mean, we've been talking about this for 40 weeks, and it goes by so fast.
Dude.
I can't believe the season's over.
It's depressing. I mean, it really is. I can remember saying to Dave Pash, my partner, I said, we were in week 3 or 4. And I'm like, how are we in week 3 or 4? Here we are, and we are 1 week removed from the regular season being done. The FCS playoffs are starting this week. I just don't know where it goes. I think what happens is we all get into such a big routine, right? Like for me, it's work, travel Thursday, prep the game with our crew on Friday, do the game on Saturday, do my radio show on Sunday, go home. And you do that for every single week for however many weeks. And I think you get so caught up in it that you don't realize time's just flying by.
I want there to be a game every 2 weeks. I want to talk about the last game for a week and the next game for another week. I want a 24-week. I want 12 buys and a 24-week season. That's what I want.
Hey, dude, I'm gonna tell you something. I would love that for my schedule.
Yeah,
I mean that would be awesome just to have a little bit of a travel break in there, and because I'll tell you, here's what gets me, because Sunday for my schedule, Tom, is the one part of the schedule, the one day of the week where I can take a little bit of a decompression time, get caught up with the family, blah blah blah, all those sorts of things. The problem is, in order for me to do that, I have to be assigned a game that kicks at noon, all right, so I can get home on Saturday. Because if I can't get home on Saturday, my radio show on Sunday is from 9 to noon Eastern time. So what ends up happening is I have to stay overnight, do the radio show from the hotel room, then catch a flight home, which completely blows up my Sunday.
Yeah.
So then it eliminates that day. Well, we've been 3:30 ABC for 11 of 12 weeks. And so I haven't gotten home one time on a Saturday so far this fall. I don't know if that's ever happened to me in the last 10 years.
And you had a primetime game a couple of weeks ago, right? I mean, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Absolutely nuts. What was also crazy was somebody officiating. This Nebraska team has got to be the sportiest 3-7 or 3-8 or whatever they are.
3-8 now.
3-8 team on the planet. I'm really glad they did give Scott Frost another year because it seems like they're so close on so many levels. But holy mackerel, they hung with the Wisconsin, who's been playing great football for the last month now, and really a bad call. How close were you to that awful call on the pass interference or the non-pass interference?
I was 6 yards. That thing happened right around the 2. I was on the Wisconsin sideline right around the 8 when it occurred. And listen, it was a bad call. The call should have been made. It was a clear pass interference. But just like everything we've seen just about every week in college football, nothing seems to be consistent. Not the officials, not the teams, not the coaching. And I don't want to defend Nebraska here too much. They have been snake bit to some degree. They've lost just about every game by one possession that they've played this year. The problem is they've been their own worst enemy. They seem to shoot themselves in the foot. They make the inopportune mistake. They turn the ball over at the wrong time. It's like I said on the air the other night, actually right before that play occurred to end the game, I said it's like the same movie being played every weekend on a reel. It's just one after another, and it doesn't matter who the opponent is. But that was a bad call, but it's kind of a reflection of Nebraska's season as a whole.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, too, on the replays and on the officiating and just the mechanics of the whole thing, I was at the Alabama-Arkansas game, right? So the replay camera thing that the guy goes and looks in, the little, deal that he sticks his head in there, that thing was at the 20-yard line. And twice in three plays, there were reviews at the opposite end of the field in the end zone. One was on an Alabama touchdown. Did he get his legs down and so on? And everybody could see it that he did. The referee, they stopped. The play is under review. The referee had to run 80 yards to go and look at the little viewfinder thing and then go back and tell us that it was that the call was what changed or whatever it was. Then he runs 80 yards back to get in position. They run another play. They want to review that one. He runs 80 yards back again. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, goodness gracious almighty, you have a guy watching the game upstairs on monitors. He sees it immediately that the call was right or wrong. And how is it that he can't just simply go right into the referee's ear and say, oh, yes, he had his feet in, that's a touchdown, and save this guy the 160-yard run and the 2.5 minutes it takes for them to run back and forth? I mean, it just kills any flow of the game.
Yeah, the mechanics of the review process have, I think, got to be overhauled to some degree. Number one, we don't need to be reviewing every single play. Right. That is a waste of everybody's time. And if you're going to do that, then those people got to be on top of it immediately. And if it's not something, remember, it's got to be indisputable. So the moment you don't see something indisputable, don't buzz down. Just let it go.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they buzz down, all right, to then take a look to see if it should be reviewed instead of doing that first before they buzz down. Remember, there's 40 seconds between all of this happening. There is plenty of time to do that. And so it's just we're in a review year. What I mean by that is every 2 years we're in a rules review year.
Right.
That's good. That's going to obviously have a big impact on the targeting rule and all of the uproar about the targeting rule, which I think is valid and legitimate. But there's other things that need to be reviewed too, and maybe the mechanics are a part of it.
Yeah. Tom Luginbill with us here talking about the weekend that was in college football. I believe you told us last week that you thought Utah was going to beat Oregon. I think that
I did.
Yeah, you did. You told us last week. You said
not like that though.
No, not like
that.
That's the thing. I mean, the like that is the amazing part of it. 38-7.
Yeah.
I mean, it was never even close in that particular game. So obviously Oregon, they're out of the picture in terms of playoffs. This is opening up the door even further for Cincinnati. I think that they will get in tomorrow night, that they will be listed in there. I also think, though, that Ohio State showed us enough to jump Alabama. Not that 2-3.
Absolutely.
The only difference in 2 and 3 is who's wearing the home jersey, in the playoff game. So it really doesn't matter that way. But I think they've got to put Ohio State too, because what they did to Michigan State was just stunning.
Think about this, Tom. I'm sitting there in our production truck on Saturday. Our game was a 3:30 kick, and I'm watching that game, and it's at halftime. And I glance over at another monitor, and I see the Georgia score, all right? And it's halftime.
Yeah.
So Georgia is beating Charleston Southern 49-0 at halftime. Okay, fairly well expected. I look over, and Ohio State is beating the 7th-ranked team in the country 49-0 at halftime. I mean, are you kidding me? I think they should have been number 2 3 weeks ago.
Right.
They haven't. What they did on Saturday, all that is a reflection of what they've been doing for the last month. They have just been blazing a trail. So I think the committee, to some degree, has gotten a little lazy with them. I think they're going to be forced to put them at number 2. But that takes me to Cincinnati, because I agree with you. I believe that what happened with Oregon certainly helped Cincinnati's cause. Cincinnati going out and finally blowing out a pretty good football team in SMU helps their cause. But here's the question. What is the committee going to do with Michigan? I would not be surprised if the committee has Michigan at 4 this week.
Which is a moot point anyway, because they're playing while Cincinnati's playing East Carolina. And by the way, they better have their shoelaces tied tight when they get to Houston. If they when they play Houston, Houston could end that whole conversation in a hurry, because that Houston team's pretty sporty. But while they're playing East Carolina this week, Ohio State and Michigan are playing a playoff game. Ohio State just played a playoff game against Michigan State, and now they're playing another playoff game on the road at Michigan. And I don't think that there's anything, Ohio State kicks a field goal to win that game. Michigan's still got 2 losses, one to Michigan State, which has now been blown up. You can't keep them in. So, no. Right. And the same thing, if Michigan beats Ohio State, that's going to eliminate Ohio State. That's a true blue playoff game. So again, this is an exercise in futility in terms of plane flights and gathering up this group and everything else. It seems like such a waste of time and money for these people to do this when we don't know anything until that game. And to be quite honest with you, the Alabama-Georgia game, which is now set for the SEC championship game.
You're right. But the reason I bring up the Michigan scenario is let's not forget, okay, Cincinnati's undefeated. Clearly the committee has not felt comfortable with, number one, the schedule that Cincinnati has played and how Cincinnati has won those games. Outside of this last week, all right, which certainly helped them with that win versus SMU, that has not been attractive to the committee for some reason. Now, keep in mind, the committee, 1 week removed from Michigan losing to Michigan State, puts Michigan ahead of Michigan State. Not 6 weeks removed, 1 week removed. So they're clearly valuing analytics over head-to-head and, quite frankly, over winning. So what I think the committee is going to do is I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to make Cincinnati earn it to the very end. They're going to sit there and I think their mindset is, if we thought Michigan is a better football team than the team that beat them, all right, And that team in Michigan has a loss. Cincinnati does not have a loss, yet we still have Michigan over Cincinnati. What's to stop them from putting Michigan at 4?
It's a great point. And, and again, it'll be a moot point once they play Ohio State.
Exactly, it will be. Again, my point is I think they want to make Cincinnati earn it. They're not going to give Cincinnati, with that schedule, a clear path. They're just not going to do it.
So Ohio State runs the table, beats Michigan, knocks them out of the thing, beats Wisconsin or whatever in the Big Ten championship game, and they win the Big Ten. Alabama loses to Georgia in Atlanta. Do Cincinnati and Notre Dame slide in? Is that Notre Dame's entree point, or does Notre Dame have a glass ceiling at 5? And I guess you got to tell me what's going to happen in Bedlam as well, and just how far can Oklahoma State go, I guess.
I think Notre Dame, quite honestly, is going to need some help. It was a big win. Seeing Notre Dame 2 weeks ago, I did not think that they were a team that would really be the type of team that could blow somebody out, and that's exactly what they did to Georgia Tech. I thought that was a little bit surprising because Notre Dame's not an offensive firepower type team. So I still think that they're going to need a little bit of help in all of this. The team that I think's got the tremendous opportunity is Oklahoma State. Now listen, they've only won Bedlam 18 times in over 100 years. Now think about that. That hasn't been a rivalry, all right? So that's a big hurdle. They'd have to beat Oklahoma. You get into the Big 12 championship game. Now, if you beat Baylor, that means you will have beaten 3 teams and 2 in the last 3 weeks of the season that were all ranked in the top 15. That's going to trump Notre Dame because Notre Dame just had Virginia, Georgia Tech, and then a 3-9 Stanford team, okay? So Oklahoma State, in my opinion, is the one that Notre Dame's got to worry about. And I wouldn't be surprised if the committee has them in somewhere between 5 and 6 because that Oklahoma State defense is just, it is alarming how talented they are.
Yeah. All right, and then your own, the college football predictions from 538 is kind of a fascinating thing. You can put in who wins what game and then what does it change the percentages and everything. But there is kind of a quirky, interesting deal. It has Alabama with a 41% chance of winning the conference, okay? But it has them with a 59% chance of making the playoff. So it implies that there's this opportunity for Alabama to not win. This 59% chance they're going to lose the conference championship game, yet a 59% chance that they're going to make the playoff. What are your thoughts on a 11-2 Alabama team in a close loss to Georgia still being in the mix?
I think Alabama can't slip to number 3 beforehand. They'd have to be cemented at number 2 firmly. I think you'd have to have probably Oklahoma State lose the Big 12 championship game because Baylor wouldn't be ranked high enough to be considered a team to replace them. The ACC's out. The Pac-12 is out. It comes down to the Big 12 champ and the impact that could have, and, of course, Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's true. Tom Luginbill with us. All right, finally, the coaching carousel heated up once again. We have 3 really sexy jobs open now, USC, LSU, and now Florida. First of all, is Florida in that same conversation as LSU and USC? Would you consider that as good a job as those other 2 jobs in terms of being able to go and win?
It's third. I think LSU right now in today's climate's 1, SC's 2, and Florida is number 3. But again, this off season and this coaching search for these programs isn't about just those 3. I think about you've got a great job up in Washington that's open.
Yeah.
You've now got Virginia Tech that I think a lot of people would be considered as a top 25, top 30 job in the country. There are going to be some opportunities. The question, Tom, becomes for these ADs and the presidents and the Board of Regents and these search committees is how do you appease the masses by not only hiring the right guy, but making a splash when you hire him. And what I mean by that is those who are fans of Florida, those who are fans of LSU, those who are fans of USC, are they going to be happy if you have to go out and hire somebody that's not all shiny and sparkly? Because, listen, Nick Saban's not leaving. Ryan Day's not leaving. Jimbo's not leaving. okay? Kirby Smart's not leaving. I think probably Lincoln Riley's probably still in the mix maybe somewhere. Just I don't know why he wouldn't be with the money that's being thrown around.
You don't want to start that again now. Don't start that again with Lincoln Riley. It turned into
I didn't start it. I didn't start it. What I did is I gave my assessment that it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I think I find it interesting.
The thing went nuts last week when you said that. I mean, it was everywhere. You said it here, you said it in Birmingham, and the next thing you know, it was all over the internet.
I know, it was crazy. And all I said is I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't say he was taking the job. I didn't say I know he's going to leave. I just said I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
Anyway, but anyway, so the question then becomes, Tom, who's good enough, right? If you're at LSU and they sit there and I'm just hypothetically, I'm not saying this is happening, I'm just throwing a name out there. You're LSU and they all of a sudden decide they're going to hire Mark Stoops, which I think would be a fabulous hire.
Yeah.
Would that be a good enough hire in the eyes of LSU fans? Because that's the problem. You're not getting Ryan Day, all right? You're not going to. That's not happening. So, what is it that the fan bases of all of these schools are expecting? Is really the ultimate question.
Yeah. Well, and that brings us to the final guy's name, and I didn't mean to be snarky, but I did put this on the interwebs yesterday. I was interested in the two major decommits that Ole Miss had, and it made me wonder why are they having these two major decommits on the verge of possibly being a 10-2 program. Does somebody know something about the future of Lane Kiffin that these players, a couple of big-name players have decommitted from Ole Miss? How active does that name become, especially now with Florida open as well? Or is he hanging around thinking that, 2 years, 3 years? Come on, is Nick Saban really going to be coaching when he's 73 years old? I mean, what's your thought on Lane?
I think there's probably a lot of negative recruiting tactics that are being utilized against him right now with the rumors that are looming around. And maybe some kids buy into it. Maybe it creates some uncertainty in their minds. I probably wouldn't give it any more credence than that. That right now, man, you got to kind of look at Lane Kiffin and say, kind of got that thing rolling. They've improved significantly on defense, right? Yeah. They've got really good offensive players. They're going to lose their quarterback. So he's going to have to come up with an answer there. But they might be in a healthier place as a program right now than LSU is, even though LSU is clearly the better job. And so he would maybe have to think some of those things through. But, I mean, do you see Lane Kiffin honestly leaving Ole Miss and deciding to go be the coach at Florida? I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, the path to get to the SEC championship game really only has to go through one team. If you're Florida, it's Georgia. But if you're in the West, on a given year, it could be Alabama, it could be A&M, it could be Auburn.
Well, the Florida gig opening up screwed Miami, is what I think, because Miami was probably thinking about it. You know what I mean? And maybe what do we do? But now the Florida job is so much more attractive than the Miami job that anybody who was a candidate there might be a candidate. At Florida. Does Scott Strickland even bother calling Urban Meyer's agent and just saying, hey, just wondering, I mean, did they even bother making that phone call?
Sure. Yeah. Why? I mean, it can't hurt, right?
Right.
I mean, shoot your shot if you think that's a legitimate option and he would be open to doing it. But again, I mean, like we're looking at, I go back, I just had Nebraska this past week. And when Scott Frost took that Nebraska job, I don't think he realized how difficult the job was going to be. Then, on top of it, at the same time, the Florida job was open. I mean, how do you look at in today's climate at that time, how do you look at the Nebraska job and the Florida job and say that the Nebraska job is a better job to take? I think Scott Frost made a big mistake there.
Yeah, only because it's his alma mater. I mean, that was
correct.
That's just ego. That's his alma mater.
That's exactly what that is.
Thom Luginbill has been our guest. Lugs, I appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving and travel another big game for you this week. You got this, Civil War? Is that what they call it out there?
Yeah.
They still call it that? Or did the politically correct police get to that one too? And they call it.
Cancel culture hasn't gotten a hold of them yet.
So it's still the Civil War. All right, so you'll have that one, Oregon State, a big game, and who knows what could happen there out in the Pac-12. Lugs,
no doubt.
Appreciate you, Lugs.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thom Luginbill brought to us by Woody Anderson Ford. All fascinating stuff there. All right, we'll get a break in here. We'll come back. Final segment of this hour is next. This is the Thom Abraham Show. On your home for virtually everything. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Have you ever found exactly the right new car or truck with the exact features that you want and nothing else? Well, at Woody Anderson Ford, we can promise you just that. Hey, Bobby White back again, and you can now factory order your new Ford today, and you'll get your new car or truck exactly the way you want it. And there's no extra cost to custom order. Plus, you get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates. This applies to 2021 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, and Expedition. It's a win-win with a custom order at Woody Anderson Ford. You get the colors, the features, and the options that fit your life. Plus, you get notified when it's built, shipped, and ready to deliver. Listen, buying a new car or truck is likely the second largest investment you'll ever make. So why settle? Get exactly what you want with a custom factory order today. And get $1,000 off MSRP. See how at WoodyAndersonFord.com or at the corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
Lowe's Provember event is back, and we're thanking pros like you all month long with buy one, get one free deals on select DeWalt power tools and top values like a Spyder 2-pack of 4.5-inch diamond cutoff wheels for $14.98. Join us for Provember, going on now through November 24th. Shop in-store or at Lowe's.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. While supplies last, U.S. only, valid 10/28 through 11/24.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect a partly cloudy start. Will gradually become sunny by the afternoon. It looks like high temperature is going to be topping out in the upper 40s to lower 50s. We could also see gusty winds as high as 25. For your Monday night, mostly clear sky. Low temperatures falling into the upper 20s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
So many scenarios, so many things that could happen. And I got one I'm going to lay out for you coming up in hour number 2 of the show. And one that is not some crazy pie-in-the-sky thing. But let me just say this about that. If Oklahoma wins Bedlam at Oklahoma State, and you heard what Tom Luginbill said, the Cowboys have only won that game 17 times in 100 years, right? If Oklahoma wins that, they play them again the following week. And we have to deal with a Sooner team that could possibly beat Oklahoma State in back-to-back weeks. And what would the scenario be using this really cool 538 FBI predictor type thing? What would happen to an Oklahoma team that beat Oklahoma State in back-to-back weeks? We'll get to that. But coming up at the top of the hour, Mark Long covers the Gators for the AP. Where are they going for a head coach? We'll talk to him about the possibilities next on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Southern Fidelity Mortgage. Think of them as a loan for everyone, offering more products than anyone else and the guaranteed lowest rates and costs in town. Of the 2,000 loans that Southern Fidelity Mortgage has pre-approved over the last 10 years, all but one have closed. That's unprecedented in the banking business. For FHA, VA, rural development, and conventional mortgages, for the best mortgage experience in town, it's Southern Fidelity Mortgage.
Call Southern Fidelity Mortgage Company at 256-656-5936.
Insurance. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us, too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. After missing the last 3 games with an ankle injury, Giants running back Saquon Barkley expected to return against the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football, barring any setback with the ankle. Main broadcast, 8 Eastern ESPN TV with the Manningcast on ESPN2. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting initial tests on Bears rookie quarterback Justin Fields didn't reveal any broken ribs. He'll undergo further tests today. His status Thursday against the Lions is uncertain. The NBA may be doling out suspensions after an incident in yesterday's Lakers-Pistons game. LA's LeBron James struck Detroit's Isaiah Stewart in the face while jostling for rebounding position. James assessed a flagrant foul and was ejected. Stewart 2 tees was tossed. Lakers guard Russell Westbrook called for a technical foul. Baseball, Red Sox exercised the 2023 and 2024 club option on the contract of manager Alex Cora.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. From today's headlines to the guests you want to hear from.
Who wants to party?
Listen in and join in. Weekday afternoons starting at 5. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live, here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby!
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho. Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like Elle McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show brought to you by Valley Equipment. Now, check this out. Valley Equipment has their annual Thanksgiving Day special coming up. This is really cool. If you rent by Wednesday at noon, okay, if you pick up anytime afternoon on Wednesday, you get to keep your equipment from Valley Equipment all the way till Monday morning for a 2-day charge. That's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. So it's like half charge. You get a 2-day charge. You keep 2-day charge. You keep the equipment all the way through Thanksgiving. Then you get to work all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday, before the Iron Bowl. You know, I mean, that's a heck of a deal. Friday, they will be open as usual Friday for the usual weekend deal, where you come in and you rent your equipment after 3 o'clock on Friday, and then you get it until Monday, okay? If you don't. But look, I'm just saying, you might need the equipment over the Thanksgiving holiday. You can get it, you pay for 2 days and you get it for 4. I mean, that's incredible. All right, joining us now, a guy that does a tremendous job. Maybe Valley Equipment can send like some moving vans or moving trailers or something to Gainesville for Dan Mullen. And joining us to talk about that move is Mark Long, who covers the Gators for the AP, and he is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Mark, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well. You're dragging Dan Mullen before I even get locked in here.
Yeah, I would just drag his ass out of there now. I thought this was fitting. I thought this was very Dan Mullen on the way out the door. In his little goodbye thank you to the Gators letter, he said, "I will always cherish the 2 national championships we won during my time at UF, along with the past 3 New Year's Six Bowls, to name a few. The program has a bright future ahead of it with the young talent on the team and a new football facility that will be finished next spring." So he's taking credit for the 2 national championships. He doesn't even say with Urban Meyer in it. He just says the 2 national championships we won during my time at UF and the bowl games over the past 3 years and the new football facility. So in other words, he pretty much throwing shade at everybody for throwing him out of there.
Yeah, and taking credit for all of that. That, you don't have a standalone without me. You don't have 2 national championships without me. You're not in 3 New Year's Six Bowls without me. Just remember who you guys are without me.
Yeah, that's basically the way, the way he but there was no choice here. I mean, this is when you have a team that plays like this, the way they have played week after week after week, this is a sign that he has completely lost the team. I mean, I don't know how he could have recovered from this. Do you?
He couldn't have. He could not have recovered. And when you start looking, here's the thing, Tom. When you lose 9 of 11 to the Power 5 schools, and you can say all you want about, 1-possession games. That's kind of been his thing lately is, however many of them were 1-possession games. But when you lose like that and you're down 14 to an FCS school at home, you get blown out at South Carolina, all those things, you start now dissecting the program. If you're Scott Strickland and his liaisons in the administration, you start dissecting the program. And then, and then you realize that, oh, by the way, we got some pretty big problems in the program.
Yeah.
And they were probably masked the last 2 years by some unbelievable talent at quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end. And so all of a sudden those guys are gone, and now all the warts are completely visible. And you start digging in on these problems, these warts, and you realize they all go right back to Dan Mullen. And this is a guy who was very good with X's and O's, calling plays, creating some offense, some mismatches here and there, but his personal skills lacked. And that came across in every time that he screwed up in front of the camera, every time he screwed up on the football field, every time he screwed up on the recruiting trail. It all goes back to Dan not being a personal guy, not having the skills to be good in those areas. And that's what you got to have. You got to have both. You better be really good football guy, and you better be a good personal skill guy nowadays. And Dan was a really good football guy, not a good personal skill guy. Ron Zook was a good personal skill guy, not a good football guy. Will Muschamp, really good skill guy. I mean, it's really good recruiter and a personal guy. People still love him, but probably not the best head coach. Great defensive guy, but not a head coach. You got to be able to find the guy that's both, and that's where Florida has lacked and really failed miserably on the personnel side, the personal side, the last 2 hires with McElwain and Muschamp. McElwain and Meyer. Mullen.
And Mullen, yeah.
Don't
get all the memes wrong.
Listen, the one thing I'll say about Florida's search here, don't hire another M. You went from Meyer to McElwain. Meyer to Muschamp to McElwain to Mullen. Let's go in a different letter of the alphabet.
Well, unless that M was the Meyer guy. I'm just saying. Do you at least make that? Another miserable performance for the Jags. He's lost more games with the Jags this year than I think he lost as a college coach at Florida in his entire career there. Trevor Lawrence, 158 yards, sacked 3 times, no touchdowns, do you at least call that guy or call his agent and just say, just wondering? Do you make that phone call, or is it too toxic to even think about anyway?
Way too toxic. And I don't know that – Meyer's been pretty clear this year that he wants no part of college football ever again.
Okay.
And it's a changed game. The landscape has changed. The transfer portal has changed it all. You got to recruit your own guys week in and week out. Certainly NIL has changed the game. Everything's changed, and it's much harder, but yet it's also going to get easier, I would think, when the playoff gets to 12 teams. Because you might not have to only win 2 games. You might have to win a third game in the playoff or more. But you certainly getting into the playoff should be a lot easier for a lot of coaches.
I've been a playoff expansion guy for years since they opened this thing up with 4. I always wanted 8. This year, more than ever, has proven to me that I don't want any part of 12. I mean, this is fascinating. Sitting here trying to figure out, who would get in. I think if you win a major conference, you should get in. And I think the committee should be, worrying about 3 teams, 3 wild cards, 1 being from a group of 5, and then 2 other wild cards. But I will say, the potential of all this chaos. What do we do if Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State twice? What do we do if Alabama dumps Georgia or Georgia has to stay in? There's so many what ifs. There's a playoff game at the Big House this weekend between Michigan and Ohio State. We don't have that with a 12-team playoff. This year, in the kind of chaos of this year, week in and week out, to me is more reason than ever that maybe we shouldn't over-expand. 8 I like, 12 I think is too much.
Yeah, I'm a little with you for sure. The problem is with 8 is, then you're going to end up with, 5 or 6, 5 conferences getting automatic bids.
Yeah.
The non-Power 5 conference, the top non-Power 5 getting a 6th bid, and that only leaves 2 at large. And that doesn't really help. Certainly not. That's not. That's why the SEC's pushing so hard, because what would happen is you'd end up with 2 teams, because they're not going to put 2 at large from the SEC in there. So the SEC basically goes from 4, where it gets 2 in, to 8, where it still only gets 2 in.
Right.
And you're splitting the pot bigger ways. So that's why the SEC is going to 12, because that ups their chances significantly of getting 3, maybe even 4 teams in every single year.
Yeah, but Greg Sankey's come on this show, and he said he's not for expansion. He said flat out, he goes, I'm doing this. I propose this as I'm part of the committee because this is what those guys want. He goes, I'm fine with 4. He said we're always going to get 1 and maybe 2. He's good with 4. He doesn't need to have all this extra stuff in there. So, but back to Dan Mullen in this mess at the Gators. So, is there any chance that this is going to turn into or has it already turned into a situation like what's going on in Tallahassee and in Miami, where it seems like it's every 2 or 3 years they're trying to recapture the magic of what it was? I mean, they were just in the SEC championship game and gave Alabama a hell of a game last year. So it's not like they're the grease fire that is the Seminoles or even the Hurricanes, which were overhyped coming into this year. But is this getting dangerously close to being the same kind of mess that we see at the north and the south portion of the state?
Potentially, sure. If you mess this higher up, absolutely. The whole state is jacked, to be honest, Tom. I mean, look around. It's not like UCF is kicking butt here with Malzahn. USF, right, had its heyday however long ago, 15 years ago, and nobody is the cream of the crop right now. And here's the thing, it's going to get a lot harder, because guess what you're about to bring? You're about to bring Oklahoma and Texas, 2 teams that don't necessarily recruit Florida. You're bringing them in the SEC. You're going to put them in front of eyes in Florida, playing in Florida pretty regularly, maybe not as regularly as they'd like, and then you're bringing the rest of the Big 12 too, with UCF joining that conference. So, all of a sudden you've taken the entire Big 12 and invited them to the state of Florida, and you haven't been able to lock down the borders now for years. So it's a potential problem in Florida for all these schools. And whoever figures it out first will have a huge advantage over the other 2 or 3 schools.
Yeah, I would agree to that. Mark Long with us here on the Gator beat and trying to figure out what happens next for the Gators. I mean, to me, this phone call starts with Mario Cristobal. He's a Florida guy. He recruited Florida in the past. When in his time when he was down at in Miami, It seems like he is coming back to the Dirty South one way or the other, whether it's LSU or Florida, or even maybe he's holding out for a couple of more years for Alabama. I don't know. But what do you think about Cristobal? Would that be very, very high on the list?
Oh, yeah, no question. He's, got to be top 3 on the list. And if it's me, I think you go at least check with Fickle and Campbell, 2 guys up there, and see, and Cristobal's right in there in the mix. And if you can't get those guys, you go get Billy Napier. And I'm not sure Billy Napier's not atop the list, because especially if you want to go young and you want to build this thing and you think that the best way to build it is to go with a guy like that and make him feel like this is home. Because you're always going to sit there and wonder, okay, what happens with Fickle if Ohio State opens up? What happens with Campbell if the NFL comes calling? What happens with Cristobal if Alabama comes calling? Though I think, Dabo Sweeney and certainly Kirby Smart would be higher on Alabama's list if Nick Saban does indeed retire. But, those are all issues. And, I don't think Billy Napier's a guy, if you want to go that way, if you want to go try to find your Billy Donovan, that's kind of always, that's Florida's, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's kind of Florida's mythology, I guess. That's the always chasing that brass ring of Billy Donovan. Can you go find the next Billy Donovan? And I think it's what Jeremy Foley always looks for, and I can't imagine Scott Strickland would not think that's the golden path here. If you go find a young guy and you keep him for 20 years and he wins you 2 championships and takes you to 2 or 3 more.
And nobody does 20 years anymore. Now you just try to get a guy that'll be 8 to 10 years maybe, or in that Urban Meyer mold. I mean, going to Utah and getting a guy like Urban Meyer, he was not a Southern guy. He's a Big Ten guy anyway. And, when they went and they found that guy who was on his way up and young at the time, does a Dave Aranda fit that kind of mold? And then of course there's, Lane Kiffin, he's going to win 10 games possibly at Ole Miss. You wonder at what particular point in time, if you want to make a splash, are names like Lane Kiffin and even James Franklin in this mix?
Maybe Franklin, not Kiffin. You can go ahead and cross Kiffin off your list. I doubt they will even vet him, let alone make a phone call. It's just not. It's not what they want to do. Their whole thing, and they talk about it all the time, is championship level program with integrity. That's what they want to build, and you can't do it with Lane Kiffin. And to be honest, Dan Mullen, the problem with Dan Mullen was he was unpredictable. They never knew what he was going to do or say to embarrass the program or to put them in a spotlight that they don't want to be in. And for better or for worse, that's how Florida is built. They like that kind of consistency and a little bit of predictability. And even though Spurrier, their greatest coach of all time, was a little unpredictable and certainly could take jabs at opponents, it was never a weekly embarrassment with Steve Spurrier. And Dan Mullen became an embarrassment because every time he got behind the mic, you just never knew what he was going to say. And so that's why I think that Lane would be out of the question. As good as he is as an offensive play caller, they don't want to go down that path again where they got a guy who's a little bit of a loose cannon and you never know what he's going to say or do.
Yeah, I mean, the difference with Spurrier, I guess, was he was a Florida guy, too. He won a Heisman Trophy at Florida. So, I mean, that's part of it. Because I think of Kiffin in a lot of ways is just like Spurrier that way in terms of what he might do and say. And he's certainly not the guy he was 6 or 8 years ago, I think, but he is still a lightning rod, no doubt about it. How much of this had to do with recruiting, though? Because, you talked about last year and what he did with the Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts, but those were Jim McElwain guys. Those weren't guys he brought in. Those were guys. I mean, he was still coaching what was on the roster then. He made that comment in that statement to the Florida fans. The good young guys that are in here, and the next guy's going to be set up good and all that stuff. Is that the case or not? Because it seemed like they were really struggling in recruiting, and they were struggling in getting, especially the right kind of quarterback in there.
Yeah, they were. It was awful. It's a bad setup. I mean, we don't know if they're going to even keep Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. And then there's just not a lot of young talent on that team. You don't look at that team and see guys, freshmen, sophomores who have potential. There's no, Joe Hayden, Brandon Spikes, guys who played as freshmen and took their lumps, but always looked like they could, they might have some lapses here and there, but for the most part made plays. They don't have those guys. And so this is a real issue. And then when you look at their class right now, they're ranked 34th in the country. Wow. Recruiting is absolutely paramount for this. And Scott Strickland said it yesterday. It's a key part of this. If you're going to fix it, you better get a guy in here who can recruit. That's why you probably put Cristobal in that final 3 or 4. Billy Napier, too. He's recruited pretty well at Louisiana. You put those guys in there, and I still think it's going to be an offensive guy. Cristobal is not necessarily, known as an offensive, but he is an offensive lineman, so he's got offensive roots. Right. But he's not. But he would be a guy who would come in and recruit, but he'd have to go get his offensive coordinator, play caller.
Finally, where would you, and I know you're looking at it a little bit through, the Florida eyes because you're so close to the program, covering the program, but in your mind, the 3 sexy jobs that are open are really USC, LSU, and now Florida. I think the next level is where you find the Washington job and some of the other jobs that are open and sure to open. But where do you put this Florida gig in relationship to the LSU gig, in relationship, which will be most likely have Oklahoma and Texas in the West with them, but that means that Florida and Alabama and Auburn could be coming to the East. But where do you put this gig in relationship to LSU or USC?
Yeah, I put both of them over USC. I just think USC's a tough place. It's a tough place to get a ton of attention. You're in a pro sports town. It hasn't been great by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a ton of talent around there. You got to want to live in LA. You got to want to kind of live that lifestyle. Kind of like Miami a little bit. You go down there. You can't go down there and want to be a stick in the mud. You better go down there and want to fit in a little bit. And it's a lot easier to fit in LSU and Gainesville to me for some of these 40-something-year-old coaches than it would be in South Beach and Hollywood. So, to me, I think that puts LSU and Florida up. Which one's better? LSU's got less competition in the state, no competition really in the state. I guess Louisiana to some degree, but they probably also have less talent. There's no question they have less talent. Florida is one of the big 3. With Texas and California and Florida in terms of talent, but there's a lot more competition in Florida than there is in Louisiana. And both of them can pay. They can pay whatever they want. LSU's got an AD who wants to, make a big splash and probably going to overpay and pay over market value. Florida's probably not going to do that. They're a little more budget conscious and want to make the right hire, get a guy who fits with kind of where they are and Scott Strickland talks a lot about alignment. And he's talking about the alignment from the football coach to the AD, to the school president, to the board of trustees, all of that. And he wants them to be in alignment. And you go back to Billy Napier, that's why he turned down a couple of jobs. I think he turned down Baylor and Auburn. And I think if you dig deep on a couple of those, one of his concerns was the alignment of everybody, in the university. There wasn't necessarily an alignment. So Florida believes it has an alignment right now, and they think that's a big selling point for the guy they're looking for, the right guy they're looking for.
Well, it's certainly going to be interesting. It's one of the plum jobs in college football, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see where all of it unfolds. It's going to be interesting stuff for sure. Mark Long has been our guest. Mark, I appreciate you so much, man. Keep up the great work there.
No problem. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go open lines now the rest of the way. All right, so if you want in, this is your chance to get in. We went long with Tom Luginbill and Mark Long there, but now you can get in at 256-576-4977. We haven't even gotten into Auburn at all yet, and them losing that game at Carolina. I suspected that was going to be a tough spot for them. I gave you Carolina in the picks this week. In fact, was 3-0 on the college football picks against the spread. I liked Carolina in that game. And when Auburn broke out on top 14-0, I thought, well, I was wrong. And then it turned out I wasn't wrong. But obviously there's a very controversial call at the end of the game. Did that punt touched Jalen Simpson or not. I mean, does it matter or not? That's the other part of that. I mean, there's this thought process with some fans that they say, well, we got screwed. We lost the game because of that. Well, let's see you get the ball there. And then it scored 3 points the entire game since the early part of the game where you had the 2 touchdowns. Yeah, you would have had a shot at it, but did you have any real confidence down 4 that you're going the length of the field and going to score there all of a sudden at the end of that game? Do you think it hit the guy or not? And I always looked at whether or not there was any reaction from the player, the way he reacts. It seems like Simpson acted like he felt something. The way he jumped after the ball went by, after the ball, you jump before the ball if you see the ball and it's going to be closer. You jump after the ball moves if it grazed you. You know what I mean? It just seemed that way. I don't know, and I may be wrong about it. So, Auburn fan, you want to talk about that? You're staring 6-6 right in the face. You're looking 6-6 right in the face. For a minute there, it looked like, oh, my gosh. And maybe this would be something different. But now your thought process about everything goes, because now all of a sudden you're 6-6 and you have got the 13th ranked recruiting class, not in the country, in the SEC. Out of 14, you are 13th right now. The early signing day is in like 3 weeks. And right now, you're sitting there at 13 out of 14, and you're looking at a 6-6 team. Well, Alabama went 6-6 in their first year under Nick Saban. Yeah, well, they did. They did 7-6 with the win over, what was it, Oklahoma State in the Independence Bowl or something like that. So, I wouldn't mind hearing your take on that. Alabama fan, your thought on how that game unfolded. The offense was so dominant, but the defense is a sieve when it comes to the pass defense, where they did not get enough pressure. They actually did better against the run than it felt like. Being at the game, it felt like they were getting gashed here and there. But they actually, even when you add back in the sack yardage that goes, against the rushing numbers, if you add the sack yardage back in, they still held Arkansas under 3 yards a carry. It was 2.9 yards per carry in that game. You got Iron Bowl, and then you got a match up against Georgia. And then the what if. I've got a what if that I need to run by you and see what you think. So it's all coming up now with the lines being open. Thom Abraham Show, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
2 Maids and a Mop. That's all you need to know to clean house. 2 Maids and a Mop is an award-winning company, bonded and insured. Hire them for yourself, or they have gift cards if you want to make someone else's day. Find out more online at 2maidshuntsville.com. A maid service worth talking about. 2 Maids and a Mop take care of everything. They supply all the cleaning equipment needed. Call 256-883-6243. The only finger you'll need to lift is the one to call them.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Here's
Everybody knows the fun begins when you get to the End Zone, where you can enjoy half-price apps every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, half-price burgers every Tuesday, plus late-night pizza specials and a spectacular menu that includes jumbo wings, half-pound burgers, Tex-Mex, and an incredible selection of craft beer, and plenty of big-screen TVs. It's all happening at the End Zone, 1851 University Drive, 2030 Cecil Ashburn at Jones Valley Station, and coming in early 2022, Mid-City End Zone at 1115 McMurtry next to the Target Shopping Center.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead ran away and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect a partly cloudy start. Will gradually become sunny by the afternoon. It looks like high temperature is going to be topping out in the upper 40s to lower 50s. We could also see gusty winds as high as 25. For your Monday night, mostly clear sky, low temperatures falling into the upper 20s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show is brought to you by the fine folks at TOC Sports. That's right. Don't get hurt in your Turkey Bowl game. But if you do get hurt during the week, or at any time, or if you're having a nagging type of injury that is bothering you, and it's an orthopedic type thing, you need to see the docs at TOC. Just call your doctor, get a referral if you need to, go that route. And if you're seeing your regular doctor and he thinks that you need to see an orthopedic, you just tell him you want to see one of the orthopedic doctors at TOC. Whether you call them out by name, Dr. Stan Davis, Dr. John Greco, or whether you just say, I really want to see TOC Sports, they will hook you up and make sure that you get on down there to TOC. And we want to really thank TOC and Huntsville Hospital as well, helping us bring you once again the Huntsville City Classic basketball tournament, which is back in full force this December. So we're looking forward to that. It's a holiday tradition, and it's going to be great to have that thing back. All right, phone lines are open, 256-576-4977. He took me down and beat the big dog. He went 5-1. I hope he had a couple of shekels on these picks as well, so he made it worth even more. But it is Rude Dog, and he's up now. Rude Dog, your return to the show was a rousing success.
I came out of retirement, Tom, and look what I did.
Kicked my butt. Listen, You were worried last night. Don't tell me that you're thinking last night that, I got a 17-point lead with the Chargers in the fourth quarter, laying 6.5. It looks really good. And then, the Chargers, and they kind of tried to implode there a little bit. The Steelers, home game for the Steelers in Los Angeles, and the Steelers made a run there. The Chargers ultimately win the game but don't cover. So congratulations to you.
Thanks, Tom. That was amazing what the Steelers was able to pull off there at the end. But
yeah,
I tell you what, kudos goes to Ohio State.
Yeah.
They really proved me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that one there was, Ohio State early and large. And I remember we were walking around the stadium. Stop me if I'm lying, Grizz. We're walking around the stadium, and it was like, wow, Ohio State's up 14-0. And then we saw, like, some people's TVs where they were doing their tailgating. We're like, do you see that? It's 21-0. We got all the way to our gate, and then we went upstairs to where we were having our pregame meal up in the Scholarship Club. We got to the Scholarship Club. We got off the escalator, walked into the Scholarship Club, and there were TVs up on the wall, and it said 49-0. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, that was stunning.
Well, I hope I'm back now.
Yeah.
So we'll keep giving it a shot each week.
Yeah. Well, you got, this week is the big rivalry game. So you're going to have Ohio State. Right now, Ohio State, 7.5, 8-point favorite on the road at the Big House. So we will have that game in there. We will have, of course, the Iron Bowl in there right now, and I'm looking to see what the line stands for in the Iron Bowl right now is 19.5-20. Alabama's a 19.5 or 20-point favorite on the road at Auburn. Of course, they weren't able to cover that kind of a number against Arkansas at home. I don't know how they cover that on the road against Auburn, but that's where it stands. Bedlam right now, Oklahoma State's a 3.5, 4-point favorite in Bedlam. That's kind of like the closest one of all of these. So we'll have that, and we'll have the Egg Bowl as well. I missed that one, but we'll see what the Egg Bowl is looking like as well. So, yeah, we'll have all of that in the Friday trifecta.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
See you.
Ole Miss is getting a point and a half, Grizz, right now. Right now, Ole Miss is getting a point and a half against State in Starkville to get their 10th win. Kind of feeling Ole Miss there. I mean, I always say my original gut instinct, kind of feeling Ole Miss there. I'm feeling Ohio State laying 7.5, 8 at Michigan. Gut instinct. Usually that first gut instinct is the one. Alabama laying 19.5, 20 in the Iron Bowl. Oklahoma's getting 3.5, 4. Kramer is up next, lamenting the way his Buffalo Bills are playing. His Buffalo Bills cost me twice yesterday. I was that was like my game of the day, was the Bills at home laying points against the Colts. And Kramer, they killed my parlay, and then I used that game as the game to pay for the parlay. And so that's the way I usually play it. I'll take my best game, throw a little shekel on that, and then have that game in, that pays for the parlay, and it killed everything. I can't believe how Buffalo looks right now.
Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you what, it's like the big running backs, the good running backs have been giving them problems like over the past couple of years, but especially this year. I mean, if Derrick Henry comes back in the playoffs and they have to face him, I mean, I just don't like their chances in playoff football against those guys.
Yeah, I don't know if Derrick Henry would be back early in the playoff or not. Maybe he would be, but that was another one. I mean, you look at the Tennessee Titans, they go, they beat 5 straight playoff teams from last year. This is how whack the NFL is. They beat 5 straight playoff teams, and then they get beat by a 1-8 Texans team. I mean, are you kidding me? How does this happen? The Bills, you said it in a text. Did they peak too soon? We talked about that. The Bills 5 weeks, 6 weeks into the season, after they got beat by Pittsburgh week 1 and then went on that run, they look like the best team in the AFC, but it's a long season.
Yeah, you got that right. And I'll tell you what, I don't think the Bills would stop Derrick Henry on a wooden ankle. They can give him a wooden ankle or whatever's broken on him, and I don't think that they would be able to stop him then.
Yeah, man, I
think they're in trouble.
Well, they better. That's why I'm hoping my Browns can fight their way in. Because the Browns show up with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think the Browns beat the Bills.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. With Dan being a Detroit fan, me being a Bills fan, you're a Cleveland fan. We're like the toy of misfits in the Rudolph show at Christmas time. We're like just a bunch of misfits.
Yeah. No, you're right. So, teams with historical although Cleveland has won 7 championships, at least they have. But it's been, anybody can have a bad half a century. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah, that's true. I was talking to a guy the other day. His kid is a Phoenix Suns fan. He doesn't remember. He's only known them to be bad.
Yeah.
So now we were talking about the Yankees the other day. We have a whole generation of kids that don't remember when the Yankees were good. So they don't see the championships. And the same thing with the Bills. I have the old.
Yeah, 11. I always joke around with that with Red Sox and Cub fan, even though the Red Sox and the Cubs have won, in this century at least. But I always joke around about the fact that the Yankees. It has been 12 long, miserable seasons since the last time the Yankees won a World Series. You have to go back 12 full years this is like a curse. This is like a drought. It is unbelievable. 12 years.
Yeah, and it's funny because you have Patriots and Bucks fans that don't remember how terrible they used to be.
Right.
They used to stink so bad.
And Pittsburgh. Listen,
anyway.
I grew up in I was 10, 11 years old, 12 years old when Pittsburgh started winning. But my daddy always told me, my father is from Pittsburgh. My father and his father are from Pittsburgh, and they're Browns fans. And I said to them, I remember being 10, 11 years old, 12 years old. I'm like, why are we Browns fans? You guys are from Pittsburgh. Grandpa's from Pittsburgh, and Daddy, you're from Pittsburgh. And they're like, Tom, Pittsburgh has never been to the playoffs. They've been around for 40 years. My grandfather used to say, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been in existence for 40 years, and they've never made the playoffs. The Cleveland Browns have won 7 championships in the last 25 years. The Browns were like the Patriots back then. And he's like, we're Browns fans. And now look at him. Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't hold up well, but
no.
You got to make your allegiances, and then you don't switch.
No, you can't.
Once you make,
you
can't.
No, my sons have
tried.
You can't. Thanks, I appreciate it. You can't change. You can't. You can like other teams. Like I like the Packers, and I like the Titans, and I like the Raiders. But my team is the Browns. You cannot change. You can't. Even when they went away for 3 years.
Yeah, I've been made fun of. No, my friends.
You can't. You can't change.
32 years old. I still have friends that remind me that I used to be a Seahawks fan.
Oh, you can't do that.
But I never changed.
You're still a Seahawks fan?
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, wait a minute. You just said friends.
It's because I grew up being an Alabama fan, loving Alabama players and stuff like that. So I bought I bought a Seahawks poster.
So were
and stuff like that.
Were you not a Seahawks fan?
I wouldn't say I was a fan because I pulled for the Titans when they went to the Super Bowl too because of just being close, and I like Steve McNair and Eddie George. I just didn't.
So you didn't live and die with an NFL team.
I did not live in because I loved it when the Broncos won their last Super Bowl.
So when did you
even though they beat the Falcons, which is crazy?
When did you become a Falcons fan then?
Huh?
When did you become a Falcons fan?
I would say after Vic.
So you're not diehard.
Because I was I was a diehard Braves fan, baseball guy. Like I didn't love football as much as I kind of grew into it.
Yeah.
Like I loved Alabama. Like I was a kid from Alabama. If anybody from Alabama can agree with me, especially living in Huntsville, that it's like I just did not have a pro team growing up. That was not the norm for me around here. It was always Braves, or I was always a baseball guy. I was never a pro football anything. It was hate Auburn, depending on what team you liked. Hate Auburn, love Alabama, hate Alabama, love Auburn. It was always like that. That was for me. And so, like I said, I never had a true love for a team. And so when I said, "Hey, I'm going to be a Falcons fan," it was not a very good time to be a Falcons fan. So
yeah, I never knew anything different. My dad was a Browns fan. His dad was a Browns fan. I didn't know there was anything else other than the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns were the be-all and end-all. And he took me to my first Browns game when I was maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, and we went every year. We had family in the Browns organization. So it was like going to Mecca. For me. I mean, going to the Browns, it was, and my dad was a huge Notre Dame fan. He was a big Notre Dame fan, so I grew up watching Lindsey Nelson and Paul Hornung with the replay of Notre Dame football. You know, every Sunday morning, the 2-hour replay. We now move ahead to further action in the third quarter after an exchange of punts, and watch all those Notre Dame games. And then when I was 13 years old, 12 or 13 years old, Alabama and Notre Dame played back-to-back years, Sugar Bowl, Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
They played back-to-back years, and I fell in love with Bear Bryant. I was like, Bear Bryant was the coolest thing ever, and that is the age where you're like a rebellious against your father, is when you're – so my dad was a Notre Dame fan, so I was like, I like Alabama better. And Notre Dame won both those games. And they won both those games. So I always liked Notre Dame, but it was really Alabama.
I don't think I mean, like, especially being around here, I don't think all I ever listened to was probably Eli Gold. For me.
So you don't even know from before Eli Gold.
No.
Yeah.
So like,
when did you first learn that Eli Gold was not a Southerner, that he was from Brooklyn?
Oh, like when?
Did you know when you were a kid? No?
Probably right around. Because I mean, that's the thing. It's like the height of YouTube and searching the web and stuff like that. So I was like a guy that was always like searching Wikipedia for like historic facts and stuff like that. So I was always clicking on like random stuff, and that was one of the ones I stumbled across. And especially the love of NASCAR and everything.
You would think NASCAR in Alabama that he must be a Southerner, and it was like he's from Brooklyn?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I learned sitting on a plane with him in 2000.
I mean, you can hear him, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and he sounds syrupy. He sounds Southern to me, you know. And I was on a plane with him going to Peoria to do a AF2 championship game. I was doing a game on the radio. He was doing a game on the TV for TNN. Remember the Nashville network?
Yeah.
And he was doing a game on TV, and we ended up on a plane together, and we had chatted, and that's where we became friends. And I was still in Florida at the time. And I was like, "You're from Brooklyn?" "Oh yeah, I'm from Brooklyn." I'm like, crazy. All right, I'm going to give you some scenarios before we get to the break because I just think this is kind of a little bit fascinating.
Yeah.
The 538, FPI college football predictions thing is really a cool site, and you can put in there what the chances are of various teams, making the playoff and what happens. And that's the site that shows that if Alabama, Alabama has right now a 41% chance of winning the conference, but a 59% chance of making the playoff, which makes some people think, well, does that mean that Alabama, they have a less of a chance to winning the conference than missing the playoff, which I don't really think is the case. I think if they lose that game in the SEC championship game, chances are that they're not going to make the playoff. But anyway, can we say it's reasonable? I mean, they're only a 2 or 3 point underdog to Georgia. Is it reasonable that Alabama will win out? Is that possible? That can happen, right?
Of course it is.
Right? Okay.
It's Alabama.
I mean, it's Alabama. I mean,
time
there's
to prepare in between and
right.
Yeah.
Let's say Alabama wins out. That's a thing. Is it a thing that Cincinnati will win out? That they'll beat East Carolina and Houston? Let's say they win out. Is it a thing that Ohio State will beat Michigan as a 7.5 point, 8 point favorite, that they'll beat Michigan and then beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game? Is that possible?
I don't think so, but I don't know who. Like, I could see them beating Michigan and almost like lose. I want them to lose to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's playing really well right now.
Right, but could they? I mean, they didn't play that well this past week. But
I know, but they won the game.
Yes. Could Ohio State win out though? I mean, would you right now say that?
I think so. Yeah.
Right, they got a pretty good chance of winning out.
Yeah.
Right, they got a pretty good chance.
Yeah. I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll give them the win out. All right. So let's say that those three things have happened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What if Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State back-to-back weeks? What if they beat them at Bedlam, and then they turn around and beat them again in the Big 12 championship game? What is the scenario then if those four things happen? Okay, so if Oklahoma wins out, they're 10-1 right now. Ohio State wins out, Cincinnati wins out, Alabama wins out, and Georgia ends up 12-1. This is what the playoff predictor, all right, the college football playoff predictor with all the computers and all the percentages and everything that would happen, okay?
Yeah.
Alabama would be a 99% chance to make the playoff, greater than 99%, obviously, because they'll win out and win the SEC championship. Ohio State would be greater than a 99% championship, so they're in.
Yeah.
Okay? Oklahoma would have a 77% chance of making the playoff if they win out. 77% chance.
Yeah.
They're in. Cincinnati, with winning out and those other things all happening, 67% chance of being in the playoff. And guess what? Georgia is 41%. If Alabama beats Georgia and Cincinnati, Ohio State, and Oklahoma win out, Georgia at 12-1, according to this predictor.
No, you can't have
that. Georgia
anarchy.
Doesn't make the playoff.
That's anarchy. Because if that was Alabama on the other foot, we would be hearing all about it, and Alabama would be number 4, no matter what. Well, they would just put Alabama at 4 anyway.
In that same scenario, okay, if Georgia wins out in that same scenario, Alabama only has a 20% chance.
Okay.
All right, so then it would be Georgia, Ohio State, Cincinnati,
I
and
still
Oklahoma.
think the committee would still put Alabama in that 4th spot.
What?
No
with
matter,
2 losses?
if it was the other way around, if it was Alabama undefeated, lose to Georgia, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Alabama would be in that 4th spot no matter
Alabama
what.
went 12-1 and lost. Their only loss was absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what this thing says.
Exactly.
This thing says that Georgia misses.
No respect for Georgia, seriously.
If Alabama, their schedule ended up not being very different.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, yeah.
It would be
Missouri
Alabama,
had a better offense
Ohio
than them.
State, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma. How about that? Let's get the break in here. We'll come back and wrap it up next on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000-square-foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
A little trash talk during the game? Yeah, we get it. Trashing the state with litter? That's not a good call. Keep it clean. Put the brakes on litter. Keep Alabama beautiful. A message from AlDOT and Keep Alabama Beautiful. Keep Alabama Beautiful is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization serving the state of Alabama and believes that everyone deserves to live in a clean and healthy environment. Their vision is a clean and beautiful Alabama.
We love our pets, and when we need boarding or vet services, we want the best. That's why we chose Paradise Pet Resort and Spa. Everything our pets needed, all in one place. Boarding for both dogs and cats. Doggy daycare, grooming and spa services, web cameras, and top-notch vet care, too. It's a true Paradise Pet Resort for your furry friends, serving all of North Alabama. Find out everything you need to know and book services online at ParadisePetResortAndSpa.com. Located in Madison, just off 565 at Wall Triana, behind Cracker Barrel.
Hey,
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. Stop into the University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in a Kia. Go Mustangs!
Looking for a great deal? Well, I've got one for you. Thom Abraham here for Valley Equipment Rental. And at Valley Equipment, if you rent after 3 on a Friday or on a Saturday morning, you're not due back until Monday morning. So basically, you're getting the entire weekend for the price of one day. And if you're in the service or are a vet, they'll knock another 10% off. Valley Equipment is locally owned and involved in our community through charities and even supporting local teams. And soon, they'll have a second location to handle even more equipment. Stay tuned for info on where that will be and when it will open.
We know it's lonely at the top, but we don't mind.
National championship number 18. 13-0. Absolute perfection.
Roll Tide. Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide head to Jordan-Hare Stadium for the 86th Iron Bowl. Our coverage begins at 11:30 on your home for Bama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
People stay just a little bit longer. We want to play just a little bit longer. The promoter don't mind.
Welcome back to Thom Abraham Show. By the way, Grizz, one other scenario, and these are not like pie in the side stupid scenarios. Cincinnati's going to win out, and I think Ohio State's going to win out. Okay, if Oklahoma State wins Bedlam against Oklahoma, they then play Baylor in the Big 12 championship. See, if Oklahoma wins, they got to play Oklahoma State and beat them twice.
Yeah.
If Oklahoma State wins, they have to play Baylor in a Big 12 championship, and that's a team they already beat once this season. This is why, I mean, that can happen in the SEC, but this is the one reason why I do kind of like divisions.
Yeah.
Because chances are you're getting two teams that haven't played, you don't want a rematch. Can you imagine Alabama and Auburn playing the Iron Bowl and then having to play the next week in the Big 12 in the SEC championship? Well, if they played in the Big 12 championship game, that would be a scoop. But can you imagine Alabama and Auburn playing in the the Iron Bowl and then the next week having to play in the SEC championship game? You know what I mean? I mean, it would be like, so there's that. And that's why I think they'll go together to the East. I don't like that 4-pod thing, man. I hate that idea. I think they'll go together to the East when Oklahoma and Texas come into the league. But anyway, in the scenario of Cincinnati runs the table, Ohio State runs the table, and Oklahoma State wins this week against Oklahoma as a 4-point favorite, and then beats Baylor in the Big 12 championship game, who they already beat. In that scenario, if Alabama wins the SEC championship game against Georgia, according to the playoff predictor, in that scenario, Cincinnati's a 59% chance to go to the playoff, and Georgia is a 41% chance. So this will be what the committee would be looking at: 13-0 Cincinnati versus 12-1 Georgia. Do they take 13-0 Cincinnati over 12-1 Georgia? Can you imagine?
I'd hope not.
I don't think they would do it.
Because, like I said, if it was on the other end with Alabama, like, they would not leave Alabama out just on the past alone and being. I mean, it's Alabama. It's the Bama factor.
But Bama has
is the
played
Georgia
a
factor in effect?
Georgia.
But is the Georgia factor in effect even if Alabama played? Let's say Alabama played Georgia's schedule, right? I mean, would they keep Alabama out of that 4th spot based on the Bama factor? Probably not. But with the Georgia, I mean, is it disrespect towards Georgia if they lost that game to Bama?
Do you know how many ranked teams right now that are ranked teams that Georgia has beaten before they get to the SEC championship game? They played Georgia Tech this week.
3.
How about 0?
Ooh.
Clemson, UAB, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri.
Is it better than Cincinnati's schedule?
Oh, way better than Cincinnati.
Maybe the head-to-head on that?
9-3 against that schedule. You know what I mean? Yeah, they'd have lost some of these games. But that's how crazy it is. At least Alabama's got wins over Ole Miss and Mississippi State. All right, we're done. Chuck Oliver's next. This is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. And while placing a custom factory order is a smart way to save big and get exactly what you want, it's not suited for everybody. Right now, during our year-end sales event, choose from the best selection we've had in months of 2021 F-150, Explorer, and Edge. These Fords are on the ground and ready for your driveway. Woody Anderson Ford has financing as low as 0% for up to 6